What is up, everybody? Let's get into this peach cobbler pound cake. If you're here, you might as well go ahead and like this video, subscribe, so you can see what I have coming up next. But let's go ahead and get started. So I started this off with 2 cans of the canned peaches. If you would like to slice and dice and do all that work with other peaches, you can. But this is the recipe that I'm using, so go ahead and get those 2 cans. Some cinnamon sugar, and you're going to add that to your tasting. If you like it a little bit sweeter, you can add a little bit more. If not, you don't have to add that much. I went in with about 2 tablespoons, I would say, but I kind of just did this by eye as well. Next, I added some ground nutmeg, and honestly, I only used about a teaspoon of that. You don't want it to be too heavy with the nutmeg, but yeah, just a little bit, a little sprinkle like you see right there. You're going to go ahead and mix this together and make sure that it's all well coated, like each peach has enough seasoning. And yes, the cinnamon sugar is some seasoning on it, so you're going to make sure it's like that. Next, to get that thickening agent, I went in with 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and then I did, I believe, 3 or 4 tablespoons of water. And then I went ahead and mixed those together until it was nice and thick. Oh, yep, okay, so it was 4. So here I am mixing them together and just making sure that it's all well coated, getting it all off the sides and stuff like that. But next, we're going to go ahead and get started with our cake. And yes, I set that cornstarch to the side, but I went in with 2 cups of room temperature butter. You want it to be nice and soft like this. So once you're blending it, it's not going to be like super clumpy or anything. It's going to have like a more smooth texture, and that's going to be really important for your cake. This is what it looks like. I next went in with a block of cream cheese, but you want to keep getting into that fluffy consistency that you kind of see here. And as those peaches continue to cook, I went ahead and added the cornstarch in there as well. After I softened my butter, I went in with a 8-ounce block of cream cheese. The brand's up to you. I don't really mind using store brands, or I think this was Philadelphia cream cheese though, but I went in with 8 ounces of it. I don't think it's gonna matter, honestly, but if you want to use exactly what I used the Philadelphia cream cheese. Mix that well and make sure it's well incorporated into that butter until you can't really see that cream cheese separation anymore. But you see how nice and fluffy this looks? This is what you want it to look like. You're going to take a spoon and scrape off all the sides just to be sure that it's all inside of the bowl and none of it's like on the outside or anything like that. Scoop it all into the bowl. Boom, like that. You know, you got to hit it kind of hard so it fall down. So keep hitting it like you see me doing here. Make sure you get all of that off of that spoon as best as you can. Next, you're going to go ahead and incorporate that sugar. I did 3 cups of sugar, so there is 1. Here is 2. I don't know why that second one looks so dramatic, but here's the third one as well. Make sure you mix that into your butter and cream cheese mixture. Once again, you're going to make sure this is well incorporated. You're going to keep mixing until you can't really see too many clumps, and you really can't see too many sugar crystals, so you want to be sure to take your time with this. Baking is a little bit more, I would say, I wouldn't call it harder, but it does take a lot more time and consistency. So you want to keep going until you can't see any of those sugar crystals anymore. Just take your time. This is not a recipe that you're going to rush for. I went in with 6 eggs total. And inside of those eggs, I went ahead and mixed 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Here I am pouring it here. And you just want to make sure that you mix these 2 ingredients really well together. I think I mixed them for about 2 minutes just to be sure that the eggs were well beaten, 1, and 2, that the vanilla extract was well incorporated into that egg mixture. After you get those combined, what you're going to do here is an important step. You're going to mix in the eggs, I would say, if you could guess, 1 egg at a time. And when I say at a time, I mean at a time. So I mean when it's all incorporated and you can't see any more egg in that mixture, that's when you're going to insert some more eggs or pour more eggs into there. So you see, I'm making sure that you can't see any more of that egg mixture. Then I'm going ahead and pouring more. So this is going to be the secret that helps your cake actually rise and not be so dull and not as thick. I think this also helped with my moisture component as well. But you'll see me go ahead adding in all of those eggs at a time. Like I said, this is going to be a recipe that you're going to really take your time with. And once you're done, it should look like this. If you can see, it has a nice creamy texture. It's very soft, very fluffy. Now we're going to go ahead with our dry ingredients. I took 3 cups of cake flour. If you want to use all-purpose flour, I'm pretty sure that it'll turn out the same. But I just want to use the cake flour just because it's my first time using it and I really liked it. I took a tablespoon of baking powder and a tablespoon of salt as well. You're going to incorporate that really well. Make sure that's mixed in really well. And just like the eggs, I did this little by little. If you want to sift the flour, you can. Honestly, that was going to take me way too long because I have this little baby sifter. And I know I need to get another one, but that's neither here nor there. We're here now. Like I said, incorporate it a little bit at a time. It starts to get thick, but it'll start to get a little bit more of a velvety texture, and that's kind of the texture that you're going to be looking for. So you're going to keep adding in your flour. I would say probably a 1/4 cup, no more than 1/2 cup at a time. So next, you're going to go ahead and keep mixing until it has a nice, thick, creamy texture. You want, like I said, you want it to be more velvety. It's like you can see, like the way I can put my spoon through that, it's very thick. And you want that thick component just because that's going to come in handy with like the consistency of your cake. So I wanted to make a little crunch at the end for the bottom of my cake. So I melted some butter, added some brown sugar, and I mixed those two together really well. Like I said, I wanted to add a little bit of a crunch at the bottom of the cake just because it was a peach cobbler cake. So I added some of that into the melted sugar just to give it a little different texture at the bottom. And I just wanted to try this out. It actually turned out pretty well. So if you want to try it, you can definitely do it. Another key that I learned about pound cakes is that you want to spray down that pan, that bundt pan, right before you put that cake in there. Don't do it 5 minutes before. Don't do it 10 minutes before. Literally right before. That way you have the best results of it sliding out. And yes, that is a lot of grease, but you're going to need it. So you're going to take your peach cobbler mixture, pour that in because it's going to be the topping for it. So you pour that into the bottom because, of course, you're going to flip this cake around. So just bear with me. It's going to turn out great. You're going to go ahead and take that peach cobbler mix, like I said, and put it around the base of the bundt pan. Depending on how much peach cobbler you want at the top, you can use the whole thing. I did leave some on the side just so I could be able to put some in the middle of that cake as well. Actually turned out pretty well. So next you're going to go ahead and put your cake filling in. You see it's very thick, very velvety. It's a nice texture. I really like the way that this cake came out. So you want to be sure that it looks like this. Get all of that in. Just use as much as you can. Make it jiggle a little bit. And I like to just smooth it out around the edges to give it a more smooth texture at the bottom. And here I am just pouring in that brown sugar melted butter mix just to kind of make that more of a texture component, like I said. And after I was able to just go ahead and mix it around a little bit with a toothpick so that that texture or that brown sugar could get some more inside of the cake, you can do this if you want. If not, like I said, it's up to you. I baked it at 335 for about 2.5 hours, and this is the result that I got. Take it out, flip it, put it on a nice cake stand, whatever those things are called. But yeah, here you are. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe.